Hey, you guys. As we talk about Austin Booker, our rookie at defensive end, talking about the further development of Gervon Dexter at the three tech, I think he's the answer there. Even the underrated performance of Billings. He's been a pretty good player for the Bears as well. But I think the main X factor to this line, we need depth. And the Chicago Bears, I think they've identified Zack Pickins as being that X factor. He needs to perform this year as a versatile depth piece. That's why he was drafted, taking reps at the nose and the three tech. And I want to go to this end of season report card by A to Z sports.com. It's a great source. You guys check this out. Looking on to next year, too. I mean, I think the writing's on the wall that he really needs to perform this year because next year, Ryan Poles, he's going to have spent plenty of money to spend. The Bears currently have the sixth most cap space in the NFL projected for 2025. The difference between spending the last couple of years and this year, the Bears aren't going to have so many holes to fill like previous seasons. So they'll probably need some help on the offensive line, but they shouldn't be able to focus, on beefing up this defensive line. And he doesn't have any real concerns about losing his job this year, but he's certainly playing to remain a key part of at least this team's future, at least this team's rotation. I think this year is going to tell a lot, and it's going to be really interesting what defensive coordinator Eric Washington does with him. I mean, let's be honest, Coach Flus is calling the plays. He is still going to have a huge concentration on this defensive line, and he's just got to make the most of his opportunities. I think he's under the right coaching. If he struggles this year like he did last year, he might find himself out of the rotation and no longer factoring into the future here in Chicago. So let's kind of look back a little bit. He was part of the rebuild of the defensive line in 2023. GM Ryan Poles, he made two selections on day two, and he spent them both on the defensive line. He grabbed Gervon Dexter, taken in the second. I think he's the answer at three tech. So they followed up with Pickens in the third round. But it's kind of interesting coming in. He wasn't an overly productive player at South Carolina, although he was a 4-year starter. I mean, 7.5 career sacks, although he was playing more of his natural three tech position. It's hard to go on stats. The scouting report said that he was a player high on experience. We knew that. And also all the developmental traits to be a great pro. And I think that's what sold this regime on him. A huge metric, the relative athletic score, right? He had a 9.23 out of 10. The bulk of the score was predicated on speed and explosiveness. Great indicators of success on the next level. He came in a tiny bit undersized, 6'3" and 293 pounds. He has since packed on a little bit of weight. But his big selling point, too, was his 34-inch arm length. That's something that this coaching staff and our GM absolutely covet, especially in defensive players, offensive line players as well. They kind of counterbalance that, so I don't think size is really an issue. Just what we brought him in here for was versatility. It was for athleticism. So let's hear it directly from Poles at the time. We're looking for guys who are big, long, and can run and are interchangeable. Nose, three tech. You get that kind of chipped up throughout the season in those positions. So you want guys that can fit in different spots. So we've got a player here that's kind of showing to be a jack of all trades a little bit, but master of none. And it's going to be interesting to see what this coaching staff does with him. I think he is the key player that has to show development on this defense, that has to show progress on this defense in order for us to be a cohesive unit, in order for the Chicago Bears to grow as a unit. So this year, he was asked to be versatile from the start on a thin line, right? He played his three tech in college, now has to play more of a one tech nose tackle spot. Instead of penetrating at the three and having that be his focus, he was then asked to be more of a run stopper at nose, right? He didn't see the field a ton. He rotated in with Billings and the now departed Justin Jones. With the positional change, with the lack of reps, I think we know how the season went. So let's go through this a little bit. If you want to refer back to that A to Z article, I would love for you to. So with only 264 snaps played this last season, he simply didn't have as many opportunities to shine like other rookies on the roster. So if you combine that with having to change his game to accommodate playing more nose tackle and one technique, there's definitely reasons that he looked like he didn't develop well, that he didn't stand out. But as we talked about, there can't be any excuses. This team's got to move forward. Let's just look at a couple bright spots and you can decide what kind of player he is showing out to be. We looked at week 4 against the Denver Broncos. I mean, he recorded his first sack of his career. He chased down Russell Wilson. In week 8 against the Chargers, he had his first career forced fumble against running back Austin Eckler, I believe. That set the offense up with great field position late in the fourth quarter. The game was out of reach, but still, against the Atlanta game, that's really where he started to show some flashes. He had his first game with multiple pressures. He finished the game with 2 on only 10 pass rush attempts. That's a great percentage. For the season, he had a pass rush win rate of only 7.2%, though. That's 5th among defensive linemen on the Bears. That's a little encouraging, but it's not mind-blowing. And 7.2%, it's easy to just cherry pick percentages when you've got to keep in mind with him, and I'm going to talk about this, he started out the season playing more out of position. And as you're going to see, they placed him at more 3 tech the second half of the season. That's when he started showing some flashes. So I'm not sure that 7.2% pass rush win rate is fully accurate of how he performed. So I think also against week 16, he showed his strength and his skill set. He collapsed some run lanes really nicely. He had a particular play that he just really took over in that area. But I don't want to be all Pollyanna here, but I want to be honest and show the bright points. But if you really look at it as a pass rusher, he had some really underwhelming moments. He only had 8 pressures as a rookie, according to PFF. A lot of that has to do with low volume, lack of opportunity, but the underlying efficiency metrics, those weren't great either. He only recorded pressure on 5.4% of his pass rush snaps. That's one of the lowest marks on the team. That's pretty low league wide. And with his skill set, he's going to have to prove that he can be much more efficient as a pass rusher moving forward. I mean, we need him to do meaningful reps at the 3 tech. It's just such a mixed bag. I'm not sure what to make of this. We're looking at improved play after week 8, and he was getting more reps at the 3 tech spot. So is the 3 tech spot more of his natural position? I think we can look at that a little bit, right? PFF, they have some insight into this. They shared that he played 38% of his snaps lined up over the A gap. That's according to PFF. Like I said, traditionally the alignment for nose tackles and run stuffers, that's over the A gap. But after week 7, his snaps lined up in the A gap, they were reduced to just under 9% of his total snaps. So as a result, you see that the Bears were starting to see Pickens play some of the best football of the season. He was put into spots to penetrate the backfield as a 3 tech. It's actually not something to panic about too, because even though Pickens' play, it did improve throughout the season with less of an emphasis of him playing over the center, there are still some struggles that we typically see from interior defensive linemen in the rookie years. He struggled in run defense early in the year. One of the issues that he has going back to his days in college, the report on him as well is that he's always shown an inability to consistently take on double teams, oftentimes even single blocks in the run game. It's not his strength. Perhaps Coach Washington can develop this into a strength, but his struggles to hold his ground against the run, it just proved to be problematic, especially on plays when he was lined up in the A gap and had to take on multiple blockers. As a run defender, he showed much more promise with his ability to use his quickness and his get off to knife his way into the backfield instead of and disrupting plays that way, but taking on blocks head on, not as strength as a rookie. And I'm not sure what that says about him. I don't know I know last year he wasn't an effective player, but with coaching up, can he be a rotational piece right now? Can he be the primary relief for Gervon Dexter with some reps at nose when needed? And as far as at the nose, as far as relief for Billings, I absolutely love undrafted free agent Zach Randolph. He's going to make this team. If he can fill in as a rotation role with Billings, that's his natural position. That's his more natural spot. Maybe the coaching staff just needs to play guys at their natural position. And the good thing, we have a secret weapon. We have Coach Eric Washington. In my opinion, he's the best defensive line mind in the league. He's going to figure this out, and I'm going to trust him to do so. There couldn't be a better coaching staff here to get this done. The thing is, he hasn't shown to be fully proficient at either spot yet. It's going to be really interesting how the coaching staff is going to develop him. A versatile depth piece able to give high-level relief for the starters. That's what we need. Or is he going to continue to be a jack of all trades and a master of none? But I think we're not done yet with this defensive line. I think Pickens is such an important piece to develop into someone that can take meaningful snaps at 3-tech as Gervon Dexter develops. Billings, I feel like Zach Randolph is going to be a really good guy to do a run stuffing role when Billings needs a breather. Montez Sweat is still going to be a great piece. We have on our right side just rotational guys going in and out. I think with this team spending a little bit of money, bringing in a guy who's long in the tooth with Mercedes Lewis at tight end, I think that shows that the Bears are going to be willing to bring in some veteran pieces moving forward to kind of fill out the squad and provide depth. And I would not rule out Yannick Ngakoue, brought in during camp as a late addition, as a guy that's going to provide some pop on the right end. And you can say that you don't care for Yannick Ngakoue, but I remember last season when he got hurt, there were all sorts of stories and people talking about that, oh my goodness, we're making a playoff push and it's possible, but without Ngakoue, I don't see it happening. So he can provide some pop on the right end. We've got Ugba, formerly of the Miami Dolphins. We've got Campbell, who's also long in the tooth, but he might have some pop left as a pass rusher. I just think we can still plan on getting some help at defensive end. And if Zack Pickens can develop into a rotational piece, primarily at 3-tech, I think it's going to be a huge win. And it's kind of an underrated X factor of this defense. You guys let me know what you think. Bear down. Enjoy this offseason. We'll talk soon. See ya.